Hey everyone, what's going on? It's 2 Minutes to Review. It's Matt.
And it's Zach.
Longest album review in under 2 minutes wins. Kind of a different album, but in the same vein as what we normally do, I guess is how I'm going to call this one.
I love your confidence.
It's 2023, and if you had on your bingo card for this year, Rolling Stones' new album, a new Beatles song, and Dolly Parton doing a rock album, you need to go play the lottery, put some money down on like a roulette wheel or something, because you're having a pretty good year.
And, let's give a little recap as to how in the heck we got here, y'all. How in the heck are we here in 2023 and Dolly Parton decided to not only release a rock album that's basically a mix of some originals, but a lot of covers, but also to do duets with everyone from Paul McCartney to Elton John to Miley Cyrus to Sting to Steven Tyler to
Rob Halford.
I mean, literally Stevie Nicks. The list goes on and on to the point you're like, how, it's dizzying. Like, it's hard to keep track of everything that's going on in this album.
If anybody could pull it off, though, it's Dolly.
Well, absolutely. But how in the heck did we get here, y'all? I'm adding a little country flair to there. Well, if you all recall, the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame inducted Dolly Parton into its Hall of Fame. And at the time, Dolly was like being, gracious and saying, oh, I'm a country icon. I really shouldn't be in the Hall of Fame. And then she reluctantly, accepted the induction. But she also made a promise to live up to this induction because she was the first to admit that, she had a lot of friends in rock and roll music who would love to be in the Hall of Fame, and she just felt uncomfortable. So she promised to do right and actually release a rock album to support the fact that she's in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And boy, did she deliver on that promise. And as I mentioned, enlisted an all-star cast of rock royalty, and not just rock royalty, but music royalty, and 30 songs. Matt and I were looking at this track list and going, what in the heck? I'm going to say heck a lot, just because I feel like Dolly would be really upset with me if I actually said HE double hockey sticks. And it makes you wonder, all right, is this actually going to be any good? We all love Dolly Parton. We all know she's coming from a great place, but is this really going to be, listenable? Well, that's what we're here to discuss. And we're going to find out who can actually share their opinion on this massive album in under 2 minutes. But first, a special shout out to Lucky 13 Beard Co.
So with the holidays coming up, if you've ever wanted to try a beard balm or oil, this is now the time to treat yourself. And if you're already looking for a special gift for a special someone, well, I've got something for you. If you log on to Lucky13, the number beardco.com, they've got all of the beard balms and oils that you will ever need, and they are some of the highest quality beard balms and oils on the internet. So Ed and the guys over there, they reached out to us and they said, hey, we want you to put together your own scent. I said, okay, well, what are we going to do? What's the most iconic thing in rock and roll? In our opinion, it was Lemmy from Motorhead. And we thought, well, what does Lemmy smell like? And, well, that didn't go too well. But what did go well was, what was Lemmy all about? It was all about bourbon, cola, tobacco, and leather. And we put it all together in a beard oil, and the guys over at Lucky 13 made it smell fantastic. So if you want to give that a try, we'll also throw in 10% off, not just on our beard oil, but on any beard oil on their site. So go to Lucky13, the number beardco.com, put anything in your cart, 10% off of the entire order with code EFP10 at checkout. Lucky13, the number beardco.com.
Matt, would you be surprised if I said I'd like to go first?
If anybody's been listening to these, I don't think anybody's surprised that you want to go first.
And if you haven't, go to any streaming platform you can imagine to listen to more episodes like this. Shameless plug. Count me down from 9 to 5. Boom! That is not going to be the last time you hear that pun.
Are you ready, Jolene?
No, that felt forced. But you know what? It's okay. I will always love you anyways.
3,
boom,
2, 1. Go.
All right, let's be honest. The thing that you're probably going to be most critical of this album is that these songs, at least the covers, are so faithful to the original renditions that you could basically say that these are just Dolly doing karaoke with some famous big names. But there's a few special moments. I mean, probably the only real moment that made me go whoa was surprisingly Wrecking Ball. Her cover that actually features Miley Cyrus, and I think for lots of reasons, just knowing the history between her and Miley, just also how their voices actually really work so well together, and also the arrangements that actually adds something interesting to it. But that's not really a diss either, because there's also covers like Stairway to Heaven, Purple Rain, and Freebird that really come close to that moment, and also do an amazing job showing how just amazingly talented Dolly is as a vocalist. And this isn't the first time she's covered Stairway to Heaven, but there's definitely more of a rock element to it, even with Lizzo's flute solos in it. And just hearing her do that plant outro wailing actually is pretty cool. Plus, the piano verses with Dolly's voice over it on Freebird are actually like, whoa, that's gonna tug at my heartstrings. And these favorable renditions are not really gonna justify, or I wouldn't say that they justify her her being in the Hall of Fame. Rather, justify anyone who called her out for being in the Hall of Fame as kind of, dare I say, doofuses. I mean, that's probably another problem with this album too, is that yeah, you hear the rock elements, but you also have to go like, would this really be all that different from a standard Dolly Parton album? And again, take it or leave it as a diss, but ultimately it just kind of proves to show how influential she is in all types of music, including rock. And I'm gonna another dare. I say this moment. Anyone who goes, "Oh wow, finally Dolly does a rock album," after criticizing her induction to Hall of Fame, you need to get your ears checked. I'm sorry, but you clearly don't know that much about music if you really think that this is the justification for her to be in the Hall of Fame. And again, you can be critical of all this album's flaws, and there's plenty of flaws in this. Also some very cringy moments. Listen to "I Dreamed About Elvis," and I'm sure we'll talk about that more in a minute. But it's hard to not at least find something to appreciate it. Even just the fact, hearing her voice with Paul McCartney, with Stevie Nicks. I mean, I never thought I would want to hear Stevie Nicks and Dolly Parton joke around in the studio until this moment. It was actually just quite adorable. But even also then the history of like how Rob Halford was making an admission to actually meet Dolly Parton, but then he actually got to sing with her on stage at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Just knowing the history of, knowing that all these artists on here, as big as they are literally clamoring to sing with Dolly. It's hard to at least not go, yeah, this was fun.
All right, sir. And out of 5 stars, what would you give it?
I'm probably being very generous with this, but 3 stars. Listen, Dolly doesn't need money. She has 49 albums out. She has theme parks, resorts. It's clear that she's having fun with this, and it's clear that everyone involved is having fun. It's not revolutionary. And sure, there's definitely going to be some moments you listen to that make you go, oh, I don't know. And I do want to talk more about that "I Dreamed About Elvis" song in a little bit, but I'm going to let Matt chime in first. It's Dolly. How much more critical can you really be for someone who's just clearly trying to have fun? And also, maybe even shine a light on some rock songs that maybe some fans, or even some artists that maybe some of her fans aren't familiar with. Her intentions are really wholesome and well meant. But that's my 2 cents. Hopefully another 2 minutes. I have a feeling I probably went over. Matt, are you ready to give your
Count
2
me
cents?
in.
3, 2, 1, go.
I'm saying everything I'm going to say with the premise of that Dolly is a national treasure. Like, she's probably one of the most genuine human beings alive. However, this Rockstar album, I don't think she needed this to justify being in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I understand what she's trying to do and what she's trying to accomplish. However, some of this kind of feels like we need to put a new album in the Dollywood gift shop. And I don't necessarily feel like a lot of it works, and some of it's kind of questionable, in my opinion. Some of the best parts of this album actually come unexpectedly, in my opinion, from the original song she did with Steven Tyler, I Want You Back. I also think that her duet with Steve Perry kind of works, and Every Breath You Take with Sting. I think those are some great ones. And, you know, even on a more country focused song like Night Moves with Chris Stapleton. But then there's some really like forced moments on here. I feel like with Rob Halford on Bygones. And then there's some real head scratchers on here. Like, I don't understand the cover of Purple Rain, Freebird, and Stairway to Heaven. To me, these are something way more than just a song that needs to be covered by a vocalist, because let's be honest here. Some of these songs are on the list of songs that you just don't cover. I don't care who it is, you don't cover them. And Dolly being Dolly, she probably said, screw it, I'm going to do it anyway. But I don't really think that works.
Time locked in. I'm going to make a bold state of huge call out in a second. But first, before I do, out of 5 stars, what do you give this? Out of 5 rock stars, what do you give this? How did we not come up with that pun earlier?
Because we didn't. Like, it's not all bad. There's some good on here. This one's hard.
It's almost like you don't want to be too.
I'm going to give it confusion out of 5.
It's almost like God forbid you give your grandmother a terrible review. That's kind of like a damned if you do, damned if you don't in this scenario.
I'm going to give it a 3-star to be fair. Mm-hmm. I want to address the big comment of the list of songs that you don't cover, especially in this vein.
Well, yes, and I actually want to bring that up because I find it interesting. In my review, I actually thought that Purple Rain, I mentioned how I thought Purple Rain, Stairway to Heaven, and Freebird were actually the more interesting, best covers that she recorded on this. And you seem to very much disagree.
Correct. The reason why is because Dolly is the focus here, right? She's got all of these special guests who are appearing on her album. Those songs are very performance-driven songs, and there are things that are standards of rock and roll where you look and say, these are some of the best songs created, not the best vocalist songs created. So you look to some of the technical prowess on these songs. You look for the pure emotions that the band brings, and you're not looking at this album saying, damn, the band sounded good. You're thinking, damn, Dolly sounded good. You're looking at it through the lenses of, I'm here for Dolly. I'm not here for the band. It might be cool that, you know, Steve Perry is on one of these songs. It might be cool that, you know, people from Leonard Skinner appear on these songs. But let's be real here. If I'm going to listen to Purple Rain, I'm thinking of Prince, and I'm thinking of the sheer emotion and the 1000% that Prince put into that song. Because let's face it, it is one of the greatest songs that's ever been recorded. Freebird. The reason why everybody is screaming Freebird at the top of their lungs at concerts is because they're trying to mock the guitarists. And they're trying to say, you can't play this. Nobody is coming into this specifically looking for the band to be super technical on this. And Stairway to Heaven. Stairway to Heaven is number 1 on the songs that do not need to be covered. It is a special song in rock history. It is a very special song for multitudes of reasons, and it's also one of the most overplayed songs in rock history. So I don't think that Dolly needed to sing Stairway to Heaven, even if she's done it before. It's still like kind of maddening that I think anybody tries to cover Stairway. That's
So I
my
couldn't.
personal opinion.
While I agree of how iconic all three songs are and how amazing the originals are, I don't have the same anger of Dolly doing it. In fact, I appreciate her doing it because it showed how powerful her vocals are on those songs. Sure, maybe there's some more instrumentation on those songs than some of the other songs that she could have covered. But I go back to the Freebird example or two, how the way her arrangement to that song, especially the verses, I actually was so impressed. To me, that was one of the first times on this album, one of the few times on this album, I should say, that I actually thought, here's Dolly not just taking the original recording and singing over it. Here's her working on an arrangement that would actually show how powerful of a singer she is. And when you hear her go and sing those lyrics with the piano over it instead of the guitar, it's just like, whoa. And it gives you a new appreciation for that song, for the lyrics, and for her as a performer. And with Stairway to Heaven, I think she actually nails. I mean, as we both mentioned, she's actually done a more country style bluegrass version cover of that song that's also extremely great. But I still actually really appreciated hearing her do a more rock version of Stairway to Heaven because she actually hits the notes with the and everyone is on the road. Like she kills it with it. Like she rocks it. And I actually liked Lizzo's. Granted, it's not really great to talk about Lizzo lately, but even with her flute elements, contributions to the song is really cool. And Purple Rain again, it just showed how talented of a performer Dolly is. I think, if anything, yeah, maybe it's a risk to do those covers, but she pulls it off. She once again proves that, you know what, Dolly. If there's ever someone who's an exception, it's Dolly. And I think she pulled it off those. If anything, I actually initially kind of liked the song she did with Steven Tyler, but then there's elements in there that was a little like, ooh, a little cringy, like a little forced. And I would agree, like even the Halford song that she did, Bygones, it's just like, oh, this is just a little like, ugh, a little too on
A
the
little,
nose.
that's super forced. And it also,
Yeah.
at times on her originals on here, it seems like
I mean, the first song,
that.
Rockstar, is just like, ugh, like enough. You're just catering to those who go, yeah, rock and roll. It's all about guitar. It's like enough.
Well,
Like,
and that's kind of why I feel like this is a song that's meant for somebody who's walking through Dollywood and sees that she's got a brand new rock and roll album. That's
yeah,
what they expect from Dolly. But it's like there's a lot of it, like some of it that feels forced. I think the Steven Tyler song isn't nearly as forced as a Rob Halford song.
yeah.
And I once again, just going back to the other part with the covers that I mentioned before, it just seems like if you're not going to highlight the band who's playing, like some of these ultra technical, melodic, or like parts that have to be almost nailed properly in order for the song to sound the way that it needs to sound, like if you're not highlighting them, like Jimmy Page,
What do you mean by
people
not
go,
highlighting them?
hold on, like, okay, who is the band that backs Dolly on Purple Rain?
I don't know, but they still sounded
Right,
great.
but no,
What, they
but
needed to have a
that's the
special guest just to
but
make it important?
that's the point. No, but that's the point. Is if we don't know who, like, people are not driven to this album to listen to the band. They're not here to hear that. They're here to hear Dolly sing. And I think that that's, while she sings it great, the band I think gets the short end of the stick. And I also think that she could have picked a better song than Purple Rain, or
I
better than
disagree.
Stairway.
I We just talked about how those are some of the best songs ever.
You did.
So
They're the best songs for a reason. Leonard Skinner. You go to
she
that song
got
to listen.
she got Leonard Skinner on that song though. Leonard
Right.
Skinner
Okay.
plays on that song, so that defeats what you just argued.
Eh.
What, you
I
don't think
also
they
have
were there?
I also have feelings on the arrangement on that, but that's a whole nother story.
Yeah, I
So here,
will
let's.
admit it was a little weird for that song. The arrangement was definitely a little bit slower
It was
than
weird.
I didn't mind it though. It was definitely a little like,
It's
all right, the tempo is like a little slower than the original, but I did not mind it as
okay.
much apparently as you did.
Stairway to Heaven. Then people go to that song for Robert Plant, or they go there for Jimmy Page, and you look at this as this one of the biggest iconic songs of a vocal performance or of a guitar performance. You're getting the vocal from Dolly. I'm not going to disagree that she didn't sound good. I'm going to say that people who are just coming to this, it
No,
sits wrong with me. I
I
don't know. It
also
sits
I
wrong
think
with
that's
me.
not. I think that's wrong to say that. Oh, you're only going to see to this to hear "Stairway to Heaven" by Rob. Like, if anything, you're coming to this song. So sidetrack. She actually did try to get Robert Plant and Jimmy
They
Page to
did,
on the
yes.
song, and they said no. But the fact that they even let her cover it is a big deal and a testament to how it's Dolly. But I would argue that, like, all right, you hear the name Dolly Parton, "Stairway to Heaven." If you don't have any interest in hearing that, then check your pulse. Like, I don't understand the idea that, like, oh, you only want to hear, like, to me that just sounds like purest BS. Sorry. Like, I just
I'm not trying to be a purist. I'm trying to say that these are some of the most, how do I put this? I get the only way that I can think to put this is there's some of the most iconic songs in rock history that are beloved by millions of people, and if you butcher them,
but you didn't butcher them.
she didn't butcher them, but it's like anytime. I think another problem that I have with this is that anytime that there's like a technical section that the guitarist would have time to shine, Dolly feels the need to interject her vocals in there instead of just letting whoever the guitarist is at that point in time shine through.
But I
And
don't mind that
but
because
that's what you come to some of these songs for.
but you know what though? Then go hear the original. Then go listen. Then if you're gonna go listen to a cover of it, then I would want to hear something a little bit different. Like, that's my problem with sometimes the covers that are like note. And so, actually, my problem of some of the other covers on this album is that it's a little too note to note, uh, similar to the original. At least with, like, when she's like singing a little bit over the, so, like, all right. And it's also different because it's also Dolly's voice. You like hearing Dolly's voice. You want to hear Dolly's voice on a Dolly Parton record, regardless of what genre it is.
Yes, you do. I'm not going to disagree with that, but there are certain times where, hearing the original person makes me think like, should I just really be listening to Every Breath You Take?
Well, listen, let's also be honest here. I think we've kind of agreed to this, even though it's with different songs. She didn't need to make this album. This album was
No, she
not
didn't.
necessary. We even mentioned this before in past episodes, and at least in the past episode where we determined who should and will get inducted into their Hall of Fame. Do- Dolly deserves to be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, just even
Yes.
based on her country stuff. Like, she has nothing to prove, nothing.
If hip
She's a
hop and
legend, an
R&B can be
icon.
in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, Dolly Parton can be in the Rock and Roll
And
Hall of
even
Fame.
regardless of that, too, like, she's so influential in every genre. She has nothing to prove. And God bless her for trying to say, "Oh, I shouldn't be inducted." No, Dolly, stop being your humble, beautiful self and take your flowers. Um, so nothing about this. That's why I'm saying, like, there's very few moments. I mean, ironically, the song that made me go, "Whoa, I'm really glad that this exists," and I can thank this album for it, was her cover of "Wrecking Ball." I actually thought she added a little bit, kind of a cool, like, ballady rock element to it. Plus, her and Miley singing together, as I mentioned in my review, they sound lovely. They just sound, and knowing the history with those two, which is, again, to another point that I mentioned, that even with some of the cringy moments on this album, you go, well, you know what though? It is so cool that those two artists are on this track together. Which kind of leads me to, I hinted at this in my review, something that, Matt, we need to talk about. There is a song on this album called "I Dreamed About Elvis." This song,
Mhm.
I literally I had to stop everything I was doing going, what in the heck am I listening to? It was the definition of just this is bizarre. Features Ronnie McDowell, who one of his big hits was a tribute to Elvis Presley, and surprise, he is playing the role of Elvis on this song. And actually features backups of the Jordanaires, who were a gospel group that sang with Elvis. And basically, the whole premise is that it's Dolly explaining how she had a dream about Elvis and literally having it's a back and forth Dolly and Elvis having a conversation with each other. Like it's just the most bizarre and then it leads to them ending by singing I Will Always Love You. But it's like imagine like Charlie The Devil Went Down to Georgia, like how that song has the dialogue back and forth, but with Dolly doing it with an Elvis impersonator. Almost 4 minutes of just Dolly Parton having a conversation with Elvis Presley. Or I'm sorry, the ghost of Elvis Presley.
I thought when she did the Christmas song with Michael Bublé and they were getting like really sexual with each other in the song, I didn't think it could get any weirder.
That
But
makes you kind of
somehow,
wish you would see Michael Bublé and Dolly Parton getting on after you basically experience Dolly Parton having a dream conversation with ghost of Elvis Presley.
yes.
What was your thoughts about hearing that? Was I the only one just like literally dumbfounded by what was translated here?
I think, and I'm going to go back to something I said earlier, that song with Rob Halford, right? When I was listening to it, I'm thinking like they couldn't have sat here and thought this sounded good or this sounded acceptable. I think they just put it on here because they got along really well together and they managed to make a Judas Priest-esque sounding song, but nobody expected that song to be like great.
Well, ironically, that was written by Nikki Sixx and John Five, and actually they perform on it too.
This just proves how dead Motley Crue is. But moving on, then hearing this, it's like if you turn the cringe factor to 11, that's what this was.
Yeah.
Well, like I said, the first thing that came to my mind is I can't believe that this is happening with another Dolly Parton song, like the Michael Bublé thing. I heard it. I like the song, but it's weird and odd and strange that Michael Bublé went along with that because she's like talking about jumping into bed with him.
Well, hold on. It's Dolly Parton.
But still, it's like, how did Michael Bublé feel during that whole thing?
If it was like something more weird, like, hey, come help me clean a horse stable, then yeah, but that's just here. Odd. Hey, I'm Dolly Parton. Hop into bed with me. I'm like, you know what? It's Dolly Parton.
But this was a whole other level.
Pretty damn good. That's all I'm saying. I have a loving wife and family, but it's Dolly Parton. I don't blame Michael Bublé on this one.
It's weird to hear them sing about that together. But
regardless,
this is weird going to this, like hearing the back and forth on this, it's like, I don't care if you knew Elvis. He's been dead for how long? And we have to rehash this ghost now? And then the I Will Always Love You thing? It was strange.
This is what I would envision if I heard this, if I heard any senior citizen in my life sing this in front of me. I'd be like, okay, no, we need to like talk about them. We need to get Uncle Jimmy into some facility. This is kind of borderline crazy. I remember when I first heard the rendition of Wrecking Ball on this, and I was like, oh, I really hope they actually do the mashup, because if you recall, was it this past New Year's special on NBC that the Miley Cyrus and Dolly Parton did together? They actually sang Wrecking Ball together live, and then halfway through, before the last chorus of Wrecking Ball, they suddenly changed into "And I Will Always Love You" because of the way the lyrics work. And it just like at that point, I was like bawling my eyes out while watching it on TV. I was kind of hoping they were going to capture that on this album too, and they hint at it at the end, and it was like, you know, this is beautiful. I was like, oh, I kind of wish I heard it. Then I heard "I Dreamed About Elvis." I'm like, oh God, this is what you use "I Will Always Love You" for?
Oh, yeah, God. That's also weird too. I mean, God. It definitely would have worked better with Miley Cyrus, considering that's her goddaughter.
Well, yeah,
yeah. But
I also kind of wish. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No, it's anything I'm going to say now is just adding to the cringe factor.
Well,
Like,
and listen, there's lots of
maybe
cringy
this is her
songs here.
avant-garde piece. That's the only thing I can think of. Like, maybe this is her
This is
Lou
what
Reed on
country
this album.
avant-garde sounds like. This is what country avant-garde sounds like, apparently. But listen, yeah, there's definitely some like cringy moments. Even like when she covers "Let It Be," which, you know, hearing her and Paul McCartney duet is actually quite lovely. But even the way she kind of delivers some parts of the song is going like, "Ugh, even "We Are the Champions," a great song, is just like, this is not necessary. But yeah,
I thought "We Will Rock You" was completely unnecessary.
oh, absolutely, absolutely.
I understand what
Um,
she's doing, but wasn't it? And I had a problem with this. Isn't it the other way around that the songs are covered
that's what you have a
or done
problem with.
originally?
That's what makes you go, wait a minute.
Well, I mean, listening to Queen for all these years, it's like, okay, well, it's "We Will Rock You" and "We Are the Champions" because it makes sense in that order. You're starting the game and you ended the game and you're now the champions. But why are you singing "We Are the Champions" and then "We Will Rock You"? It
I'm
doesn't
just
make sense.
That's what you took away from it. That is
Well,
what threw
it's
you for a loop.
nitpicky, but I mean, come on. If you're going to cover it in the right order.
But listen, again, we can definitely be a little nitpicky and critical because, like, yeah, she's 77 years old. Of course, there's going to be some moments that really feel a little outdated now. Hell, even just her doing any song with Kid Rock is going to be cringy. Like, and her kind of defending it too is like, oh, come on, Dolly, no, don't
Well,
defend this.
that's like the three songs, in my opinion, that all kind of sound the same. Like, I like the Steven Tyler song, but the Kid Rock song and the Judas Priest song, it's kind of like, did you write three songs or did you just take one idea and switch the lyrics around a little bit? Because they all
Probably.
kind of follow the same premise.
But with that said, there's still plenty. Like, did we need a cover of "I Can't Get No Satisfaction"? No. Is it
No.
still lovely that she is singing with Pink and Brandy Carlisle? Yeah, it's just nice. I mean, even just hearing her and Sheryl Crow on "You're No Good," it's love. Like, listen, Dolly's a legend. Let her have fun. And in the end of the day, she's having fun, right? I mean, that's the thing I took away from this too. At the very least, it wasn't just like it wasn't her just being in the studio going, all right, let's do this, let's do this. Like, I actually feel like she was having fun with this. Hearing her
Right. And
banter with Stevie Nicks, I now am envisioning a sitcom of two cool grannies just like riffing on each other. And I want to watch that nonstop. Like, I never knew I needed that in my life. And plus, it's actually a demo that Stevie Nicks never really officially released. So that's kind of cool too that we finally have on a record. I mean, there's a lot of cool things about this.
there is. I'm not denying it.
The
There's
history of it is more cool than probably the actual songs themselves.
Yes, for some of it, I will absolutely agree with you that the history is cool, and just watching her be able to pull all these people in to do this, like this album, I think is more impressive than like Santana when he
Oh, absolutely.
was on like his myriad of albums where he brought in all different people. Like this puts his albums to shame.
Carlos Santana's efforts with like all those collaborators was his attempt at trying to be relevant. This is just Dolly Parton going, you know what? I want to have fun. I've always wanted to sing with Paul McCartney, and I always wanted to jokingly say, hey, I reunited him with Ringo Starr. Because by the way, we forget Ringo Starr's on that song too. She plays with half of the Beatles on that song. She like literally, this is not her going, man, I need to be hip. How do I get hip with the kids? This is her
Yes, I would
going,
agree.
like, you know what? I just want to have fun. Like, this is also like, I think it's telling that you look at like the guests on this track list, and I would say maybe a third of it is artists that she probably met at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame ceremony. I mean, you got Pat Benatar, who was inducted with her that year. Rob Halford, who Judas Priest was inducted with her that year. Simon Le Bon from Duran Duran inducted that year. And then you even got like Pink and Brandy Carlisle, who presented awards at the Hall of Fame that year. Like, these are a bunch of artists who's like, you know what? I had fun playing with you on stage. You want to hop in the studio and jam too? Like, that's just like, this feels so on brand for Dolly Parton. We joke that it's weird that she's doing a rock album, but at no point did I feel like I was listening to something that was not Dolly Parton, which maybe is for good, better or worse too, because I would argue that even songs like World on Fire, like, let's be real, is that really a rock song, or is that just kind of like modern country?
Yeah.
Maybe that's like rock for Dolly, but well, are you going to tell me that if that appeared on a modern country album that you would call that not country? It's her having fun though.
Yeah, she leans like into inner original. She does lean on the country side of it. There's no doubt about it. I don't think anybody's knocking her for that, but some of the covers, in my opinion, were just questionable. But overall, like she's having fun. She's having a good time. And like I said originally, it may sound like I'm especially trying to bash her. No, I'm not trying to bash her. I'm saying that some of the songs, maybe could have done without. But overall, like I said, she's a national treasure.
There is no damage that two music nerds like us from Jersey can really do to an icon like Dolly. Nothing about this album tarnishes her career or legacy.
No, it gives people at Dollywood something else to buy, because apparently, I didn't know this, but there is a 4LP version of this with Dolly Parton dressed in black leather on a black motorcycle.
You know who has that copy?
You?
Michael Bublé.
Yes, he does. No, he's got the signed poster.
Yeah, he does. I know we're being critical, but that's what a review show is about. But listen, if you're a Dolly Parton fan, you'll love it. If you just want maybe a giggle here and there, enjoy. There's definitely moments on this to enjoy, though. Long story short. And you know what, Matt? Let's be real. None of it matters. Because what really matters is who gave the longest review in under 2 minutes. And before everyone goes, this show's called 2 Minutes to Review and it's a 30-plus minute episode. We never promised that it was going to be a short episode, especially when you have a 30-song album to review. Just throwing that out there. Matt.
Yeah, that was the biggest surprise of the day.
Yeah, we definitely did not I guess we just all glanced at the track listing really fast without realizing. Anyway, Matt, how did I do? Where did I clock in at? I think I already know the answer, but surprise me.
On the official Dollywood timer, sponsored by Dollywood.
Oh, I wish
3 minutes and 8 seconds.
Oh, that's terrible. Well, Matt, I don't have the official Dollywood TikToker. Is that
TikToker?
The TikToker. Can we make that a thing? Anyway, you would technically beat me if this was 3 minutes to review, but it's 2 minutes to review, and you came in just 1 second over 2 minutes.
That's okay. I'll take it. I was 1 minute and 7 seconds shorter than you.
With that said, what say you, listener? Did you enjoy Dolly Parton's attempt at a rock album? Did you just accept the covers for what they were, or were you a little bit more nitpicky than us? Let us know on any social media platform you can imagine. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Oh, I'm sorry, not Twitter anymore. It's X. Let's be real. It's always going to be Twitter. Threads, if you're still on there. The TikTok, as I hinted at before. At Epic Footnote. Also subscribe to our YouTube channel, at Epic Footnote as well, where you'll hear a lot of reviews like this, including recent reviews of the Beatles' new song and the new Rolling Stones album, as we mentioned earlier. Oh yeah, we have merch. Lots of cool merch with our logo on it. Go to the link in the bio of any of our social media pages where you'll find ways to support us by buying hats, t-shirts, coffee mugs with our cool logo on it. It's just a way to show your friends, I listen to two guys talk about music a lot, and, let us make some more episodes like this. And once again, thank you to Lucky 13 Beard Co.
With the holidays fast approaching and with that bearded guy, or if you're a female and you just want to have your skin smell good and feel good, you can pick up a bottle of Lucky 13's beard oil. They smell fantastic. There are tons and tons of scents. They're not all super masculine, so you can get something that'll bring like pina colada vibes if that's your thing. Or if you want to smell extra manly like Lemmy from Motorhead, bourbon, tobacco, cola, and leather, that is our special scent with Lucky 13. Put whatever you want in your cart. Use the code EFP10 at checkout Get the 10% off. You're going to be glad you did. You're going to feel amazing. You're going to smell epic. Lucky 13, the number, beardco.com.
Thanks so much for listening. And we hope you join us for another episode real soon.
See ya.